Hey, it's me, Big P. I wanted to go over my current character, level 75, pushing into yellow maps. The Grenadier Witchhunter is feeling awesome. I'm just going to mouse over all my gear real quick. The most important thing for all weapon or attack-based skills, rather, is the weapon, of course, which once you get into Act 3 Cruel, you start dropping the next tier of the Cannonade Crossbow. I haven't found the Siege Crossbow yet. That is up in maps, I think, probably up in red map tiers, where you'll start to find that final tier, but you'll start to drop this in Act 3, and then you can start to, really pop off and get your damage going. I have been replacing a lot of the gear just to kind of get resistances. They're not perfect yet, but like things like this really nice body armor, helmet to a lesser degree. Jewelry still has a lot of ways to go. I just like not crazy about pretty much any piece of my jewelry. Boots are decent enough, but these also can get a lot better. I'm waiting for the 30 move speed to actually throw, more high level runes in here. And then the gloves, I think I showed, I still do have these gloves. These were the gloves I was using last video, and I will probably still continue using them, but I am actually experimenting with converting explosive grenades fire damage to cold. So when you get into the skill setups, everything's going to look a little weird. I will go over the more traditional skill setups before this. This isn't really like I'm just experimenting with it. My friend dropped these and I'm like, yo, can I try those? And then sure enough, I was freezing and shattering everything with my explosive grenades. I'll go ahead and give you a peep of that. Skill tree, I actually haven't done my third lab yet as I'm pushing into yellow maps, just because I haven't been wanting for more damage. Deal up to 40% more damage to enemies based on their missing concentration is going to feel awesome here. Probably once we push into reds, we'll certainly need it. And then, of course, the Uber lab, I will probably be getting Decimating Strike, I've decided. Here's a quick look at the tree. It looks a little wonky here, again, because I'm experimenting with some like multi-element setups. And there's not only no real cold grenade, there's not an easy way to get cold grenade, or rather cold exposure on the build. So I'm like, I have like this because I was in here when we were doing fire damage, but if you're doing it more traditionally, you drop this whole section and just go into around the top here, because damage penetrate 6, fire res is better than chance to ignite. And then everything else is just pretty generic. I mean, attack speed doesn't actually boost. It's nice. It's nice to have. It doesn't really boost because you are gated by your cooldowns. So if you have too much attack speed, it's actually a bad thing. Not that you really will get there. And the jewel isn't anything insane either. Nothing too insane. But if you are struggling with the campaign, just get a new weapon. You got to keep upgrading your weapon. That's the only thing that you can really do. We're gonna run a tier 6 map. This is the highest. Or no, I think I have a tier 7. And let's do it with the boss here. And yeah, we'll just go over. So we are cycling between 4 grenades, mostly. Explosive grenade is the main one. It looks like that. That's voltaic grenade is another one. Gas grenade and cluster grenade. I will go over all of the skills, like the skill setup after this map. But really quick, I did want to also mention, you might notice that I'm not in cluster bombs. I actually feel like this node is a trap. I think that 50% increased grenade detonation time, if you're okay with detonating your own nades with explosive shot, sure, go ahead, use this. I want to go pure nades as much as possible, so I just took this off somewhere in the campaign. I was like, you know what, let's try it. You do get the additional grenade from here. There's not really that many other ways to get additional proj in this part of the tree, as far as I know. So I'm just like, let's try without it, and I have not looked back since. I will show you how the mapping looks now with it. Basically, I mean, there is a technical rotation that you should be doing. I'm not. I'm just doing a bunch of different grenades whenever I feel like it. As you can see, those big shattering chunks here. Let's just stick with the explosive grenades here. I mean, as you can see, anything that doesn't immediately die will be picked up by another grenade. And a lot of times I did put the gas grenade on left click. The cooldown on the gas grenade is much, much lower. than pretty much every other grenade that you have. So that's why I put it on left click in case you just want something. And as you can see, the AoE on it is insane. And then you like kind of snapshot a bunch of your attack damage. The clear is marvelous. Sorry, cat. The single target damage as we're pushing into yellows. I mean, I guess let's see the boss first before I go into it. So here's a rare mob. Let's just like press all of our different buttons. Now I will say I am willing to. Okay, it's already done. I don't know where it went. Like it's as you can see, it's not exactly nuanced. Okay, we took a chunk there, but there is still the issue of the delayed damage and the range damage. Where's the okay? So here's a rare. That's one explosive, one of the gas. He's perma frozen, and then he just explodes. So it's feeling pretty good. Don't walk into those. Why are you getting baited by the loot? There's just a lot, like, of min-maxing and potential, like, damage, considering, whatchamacallit, exposure and things like that, that I'm just not really paying attention to, just because I've had such an easy time kind of scaling the damage. I will say we're at the point where it's like, okay, now the issue... We do take the occasional death in maps to like some stupid rare combo or really getting off-screened. While we are a projectile build, like as you can see, like we're clearing everything here and killing the rare over there, but like sometimes one or two get through the cracks. So it is good to you know, pop that gas grenade and then just kind of alternate between the left and the right click. I am thinking of making like voltaic grenade on a longer cooldown and like proccing a lot more elements. I don't think you can actually make it shock, but like I shock sometimes. Again, there's a lot of shit going on in terms of like I'm experimenting with that I'm not sure is actually working completely properly. For example, gas grenade. I mean, we're at a checkpoint real quick. Maybe I can just take a look. Gas grenade, I'm using a reach to get a lot more area of effect because I don't think the accuracy rating against enemies close to you affects the explosion. Could be wrong on that. But when, you know, with just 2 nades, like this amount of clear is like insane. I mean, it's lovely. I know a lot of people are using like the sort of gas arrow. Oh, this will be a fun boss to try out. We do have Font of Rage on the Wire Ballista, which I don't use nearly enough. Ow, what the hell? You didn't even start the fight yet, man. Alright, just got kind of nuked there. That's okay. Let's try that again. Like I kind of got off-screened and fucked up by that. That was annoying. Am I not able to TP back to the checkpoint where the boss is? Okay, it like redid the map. So this is like kind of wonky, I will say. I'm enjoying the game a lot. I don't really have like the insane amount of, I would say, unwarranted criticism that a lot of people are having for this game. It's an early access. PoE 1, you know, didn't have a good end game for years, and to expect for a game in early access that doesn't even have all its classes or like weapons to be on that same level is kind of ridiculous. That being said, it's still an incredibly fun game to play. The moment-to-moment action is a lot more readable and enjoyable than PoE 1, in my opinion. Because PoE 1, while it's fun, the arcadey nature of it kind of makes it a little bit exhausting to play for a long amount of time. Alright, let's try and not get one-shot by stuff here. Those spears they're throwing off-screen is brutal. We gotta dodge this one. Boom. Weird, it's like the boss... Okay, well, yeah, you gotta dodge that. Ugh, this is kind of... This is the first time ever... Okay, now it's fun. We have to checkpoint at least. This is a bit of a trickier boss. And they are dealing extra damage as fire, which is kind of brutal. So let's see what we can do here. Maybe I'll stay further back this way. Here it comes. Okay, let's try and stay further back this way. See, now he's frozen. Definitely don't want to get hit by that. That's a 1 and a 2. And the 3, he turns a lot for that one, but he is chilled now. It's just nice to have chill instead of ignite, you know, like as the weapon. There you go. That was a tricky one. I feel like I was getting completely chunked by like not him. Although he did, the boss himself did one shot me, so I gotta give him credit for that. And yeah, I think it did say like the rest of the map, but it didn't seem like it had monsters in the rest of the map. So some of the new endgame changes are a little wonky, I will say, but overall it feels so much more like by the time I had gotten to like tier 1 or 2 maps with the Grenadier in the previous patch, I was like, this feels like shit and I'm done. Now part of that might have been cluster bombs. You know, the increased grenade detonation time like really makes a difference. Like, because I'll just show you real quick if you spec out into it. So the detonation time here for the explosive grenade, there's fuse duration and detonation time, and they both seem to be affected by detonation time, because with expedite in the links, fuse duration is 1.35, detonation time is 1.8. I assume the lower one takes precedence. So if I take this out, fuse duration is 2.25 and detonation time is 3. Maybe I have something else somewhere on the tree. I think maybe like, yeah, reduced grenade detonation time. But like if I don't know, it's hard to say exactly what's going on. Play with it yourself if you do want to try grenades, because there are a lot of different setups. I guess I'll just go over the skill gems right now. Anything in crossbow shot I'm not using. Yeah, I'm just using it for like storage because I am doing a lot of experimentation. So the 3 link for explosive grenade I would say would be expedite and primal armament. Expedite will make it playable from Act 1 or wherever you get it. I think, yeah, Act 1 or early Act 1, and you do get this around that time. Don't go for fast forward, it doesn't work for this anymore. And primal armament is a tier 3 one, so anything else you would use, maybe fire infusion or something else like that. I am using ice bite now. I should have mentioned to look in the corner there to see when it's up. Ice bite is just, you know, extra damage while you're clearing, and then inspiration is just to help kind of bring down the cost. It's 64 mana with and 91 mana without. Gas grenade's pretty expensive too. With gas grenade, I'm doing LE focus, magnified effect, and reach, so just so it has a lot of coverage. You are able to see the explosion damage here. It actually is converted to cold. This is more specific to my weird cold conversion setup right now. I'm essentially doing no fire damage, right? However, if in cluster grenade you put fire infusion here, the conversion takes place before the gain as. So you can see here I am doing fire damage, even though I should be converting 100% of it to cold. And in this way, I'm able to potentially take advantage of elemental equilibrium, and maybe even Trinity. I have been experimenting with Trinity as a damage setup. However, again, I haven't been wanting for damage. If anything, you see I'm taking more hits. The damage is decent enough. We'll see if we're able to fit this, and I ideally would like to just run Trinity and Wind Dancer, because Herald of Ash kind of feels superfluous with my amount of clear. The area effective grenades, like, I can't ever tell if Herald of Ash is actually popping off, because I'm just blowing up a whole fucking screen. Like, I don't actually think it's doing that much. So it'd be much better to have, you know, Wind Dancer as a defensive one that I have linked with Maim, Punch Through, and Precision. Precision is like kind of like cannibalism, clarity, and vitality. You can just have them whenever on whatever spirit gems you're using. They will bring the reservation up, but things like accuracy rating, I don't know if accuracy rating applies to grenade explosions, honestly. I think it does, but it's really difficult to tell, because a lot of times they're moved between, if like one doesn't hit them, the other one might, and then that's enough to kill them. Really hard to tell exactly what's going on. In terms of what else we got, let's go over the rest of the gems really quick. What am I doing? Voltaic Grenade has Volt. Volt is a really nice damage link for any lightning skill. Will projectile attack. Rather, you know, always read your tags. Supports projectile attack skills. It will tell you if something can't be supported, but it's been a little wonky. It's been buggy. Again, early access, like, what you gonna do? Lightning infusion, and then strip away. Again, I don't know if this works, because technically now all of your skills are applying exposure of like a different type. Like if you're doing it, I would say, like, you know, keep an eye on some mobs that I'm killing, but I'm kind of suffering from success. I'm killing these rares and stuff like that before I can really, you know, do proper testing with exposure. So really hard to say. don't follow this one-to-one. I will show you, if you are going for just a more traditional grenade setup, it would be oil grenade, scatter shot, probably with the magnified effect, and strip away. Because oil grenade basically does nothing for me now because I'm not doing fire damage as my main skill. It's all cold. If you go to the explosive grenade, you see total damage, fizz, and cold, and that's really it. So it's a pretty respectable number right now. I like to think it does go up and down, especially if you're using Trinity. Trinity in this game is a little different than in PoE 1. In PoE 1, you only had to really do 2 elemental types of damage to get full effect of the damage. But in 3, you do have to do, you gain resonance only when you do damage of that type. So what I have been able to do, you know, let's just open a tier 1 map real quick. Just to fuck around in. Like right here. Do we have anything to throw at it? No, fuck it. Let's just, I just want to do it for demonstrative purposes. So I'm going to turn off the Herald of Ash and Wind Dancer and put Trinity on, just so you can see. And I'll try and keep the damage numbers up here so you can see explosive grenade as it like kind of goes up and down. So I'm going to start with just an explosive grenade volley, and we'll see what that gives you for Trinity here. There we go. It also is like based on like number of hits. So so cluster grenade, as I said before, is my fire damage like now. So here we go. Okay, they weren't awake, so they didn't do damage. So there we're building resonance of the cold there because we did cold damage. Boom, you're building that resonance. Come up here. Boom, you're building that resonance, and the damage is going up. So now we have full fire. So let's use voltaic grenade. And now you build a bit of, well, pretty much full on that, but you lose a bit of this. So now you want to mix in cluster grenade, and that builds a bunch of fire resonance. So, I mean, like, as a damage link, like, I'm just going to try and, like, just, like, clear as quick the rest of the map as I can. Like, it's, like, good luck calculating the effective damage of this. Like, watch the resonance as it moves around as I swap between the grenades. It's definitely a damage link, and it's a crazy damage multiplier. I do think that it might end up being worth it, so let me know if you have any ideas on if you know how elemental equilibrium works. Let's try a bit to see. On a rare mob, let's see if I don't like one-shot them, exactly how the level of... Okay, here we go. Let's see. So we did a gas grenade here. It got hit. Okay, so that not... Does that have... Yeah, it did have cold. I'm not sure. It's really hard to say. With LE Equilibrium, like, okay, they had it's hard to say, and I don't even know if like one of them is chill or one of them is cold exposure. Cold exposure is really the one I want to be activating with the voltaic grenade. Like, that's what should be happening. Lightning damage, remove lightning exposure, and inflict cold exposure, right? So it should be the voltaic grenade. But I haven't found that. It still just gives fire exposure, probably because voltaic grenade is doing some cold and lightning damage. It's doing more lightning damage than cold damage, but like, I don't understand how it's working, honestly. Like, let's see, is there anything here that doesn't immediately die? See, he has fire, right? Oh, these guys are lightning resistant too, so let's see, maybe this will be... Okay, so see, he has fire exposure on him for just a bit, which... Yeah, I don't understand how it's working, honestly. Let me know. Maybe, like, it just takes, like, priority. Like, one damage type takes priority if it's there, which is kind of annoying. Again, I'm not really sure. But overall, Trinity, you know, I do want to fit it in the build. We will need an additional 30 plus to fit that in, as well as Wind Dancer with, like, good stuff like Cannibalism, Clarity, because mana issues. I have been having to press the mana flask more and more now that I'm getting higher level gems, especially once I got this +3 prod skills. As you know, they have tweaked mana costs a bit for attacks, but still pretty stringent. I don't really have leech. I did put mana leech, I think, on my cluster grenade here. Yeah, Soul Thief, 8% of physical attack damage leached as mana, just because this one only converts 20 and then 40 on the mini grenades to fire, so you're doing actually more physical damage than anything else here. Doesn't really seem to be doing that much, honestly, and then it's also just like has the highest cooldown. Actually, not that high of a cooldown, but like you throw 2 out and then it's like, what, you're relying on this for mana leech, like you're also shooting out other grenades, so your mana costs are going down. But again, you balance it. if anything, I'm shooting too many grenades. I'm playing the build suboptimally. It's kind of, again, that kind of feeds back into my, even as someone who's played Path of Exile for a long, long time, you have to be willing to admit to yourself that you're just not playing the game very well. This is a very different type of game, and like different play styles. People are trying to play it like PoE1 and having a bad time. I think that's really where the core of the issue is. It's a very different sort of style of game. Like I said in the previous video, if you don't like these like FromSoft action RPGs, it might not be for you, honestly. Like the arcadey brilliance of PoE1 is not really here. And I think there's another sort of brilliance here. I like a lot of the fights and a lot of the options in terms of like, people aren't even getting to like tier 2 and 3 skill gems, which is like where the game really pops off, where you start to get a bunch more 4 links, where you start to even get, into 5 links and things like that. That's where like it really started to pop off for me. Like Act 2 was probably the only part that was like a real slog. And then beyond that, it's just been super fun. To the point where it's like, like I said before, I tried to start this for my very first build ever in PoE1, and I kind of stopped it like at like level 71 once I started maps and realized like, oh, this isn't gonna work, just because there's not enough defensive layers and things like that. We're working on that now. I mean, the build pretty much still has the same issue, but now I'm more willing to invest into it because I do think the damage is there. The crossbow buffs have been feeling really nice, and if you're wondering why grenades, I mean, just look at that attack damage effectiveness, 815. These are like the slam projectile skills, if you want to think about it that way. If you don't like the delayed damage, again, run expedite and drop this node here. Increased detonation time is pretty bad. IMO. I think it really does kill the build and makes the build feel a lot more playable, at least once you get into maps. Like maybe if you do have a good enough crossbow, I guess maybe this exists as like a potential downside, like if the siege crossbow itself isn't good enough of a base type, but I think it should be fine. The cannonade crossbow has been fine going into yellow maps in terms of damage. I'm not like wanting for any like insane amount more damage. It's very respectable. As you saw in the boss fight, you still got to play. It's not like completely trivializing it, and the build itself isn't super tanky. But yeah, I will be streaming a bit today. I think if you want to see more progress, we'll be doing the third lab, which will just bring us even more insane amounts of damage. And yeah, let me know what you're doing if you have any idea about what to do for this whole cold convert setup, if there's anything I'm missing. I did try like cast on freeze frost bomb, but that costs like 70 spirit, so I could run that in Wind Dancer. Maybe that's more consistent, and then I can drop this. There's not a lot of other ways to get cold exposure as far as I know, because unfortunately the cold exposure gem, where's my tier 3 support? So fire exposure is on igniting an enemy, it will inflict exposure. Lightning exposure is on shock. For some reason, this is on a crit with colds, and I don't really have that great crit right now. I don't think I'm really a crit build, so this is, for me, it's a little bit wonky. Honestly, it's kind of annoying. I guess it's because chill and freeze are much easier to set up, so they didn't want to just make it so trivial. But yeah, just throwing this in a links isn't really an option. And then if you go to like all the skill gems themselves, if you search exposure, like let's just go through all of them, right? Oil grenade is the only one that gives fire exposure. Primal strikes, I mean, we can't use. Frost bomb and incinerate. Wait, incinerate does fire exposure? Wow, cool. But frost bomb, like I said before, was the way that we were doing it with cast on freeze, which was okay. It was up for like the rares, but like sometimes it'll go up for like a random pack and then auto aims to something stupid, and that's about it. Like if you look at everything here, like this is the only like base exposure setups that we have. Nothing like wave of conviction or anything like that. I don't even know how you'd really get lightning exposure besides putting it on a gem that's shocking. So again, just another thing where it's like, all right, well, maybe that's coming in like some of these elemental skills. There'll be more of them. But anyway, I've been rambling too long. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions for this. I do think I'm just kind of playing around with this. Once I get into red maps, I'll go back to my other, because I mean, look, if you just pop on look at the damage numbers. It goes 9k to like 10k. It fucks with my int a bit right now. And this is with like Ice Bite, which is like kind of like a dead damage link for this. Either way, I'm just playing with it. You know, I was able to swap to this like while I was mapping and continue mapping and clearing them. So very happy about that. Still a long ways to go with the build, but for now it's feeling great, and I highly recommend it. I think grenades is like a very solid starter. You don't really get that much leverage if you're willing to, you know, upgrade your weapon as consistently as you should be. It's pretty nice. You get a lot of bang for your buck as you're leveling this gem. It goes up from like, you know, 300, like 200, 300% effectiveness of added damage, and it just keeps going up like 20, 30 per level, all the way up now to 815. So it's a lot. I will mention, let's take a quick look at strength and dex. Like it's a lot of strength and dex and some int if you do want to build into some of these like meta gems and things like that. So I'm still over here, and then like can't take out the strength from the tree because I need a higher level Herald of Ash, but maybe I don't need that. Like, you know, we'll see. Again, thank you for watching the rambling video. I really should have written like a script out for this or something like that, because this is way over the place. But, you know, let me know what you're thinking. And if you're trying grenades yourself, I'm having a lot of fun with the game, and I'm going to try and do some like end game content with this thing. Take it easy. Goodbye.